love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode is brought to you by Lynda.com. Learn what you want, when you want, with access to over 2,000 high-quality online courses and training videos, all for one low monthly price. Try it for free for 7 days. Visit lynda.com/allaboutandroid. That's LYNDA.com/allaboutandroid. And by 99 Designs, the world's largest graphic design marketplace. 99 Designs connects businesses seeking quality, affordable designs with a community of more than 270,000 graphic designers. Visit 99designs.com/AAA to receive a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99. Welcome to All About Android, episode 148, recorded on February 11th, 2014, your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Ron Richards.
I'm Gina Trapani.
And we've got no Jason Howell, because poor Jason's homesick with a sore throat. He's actually functioning and online, but he had no voice, so we had to tell him just to stay home. We got it covered. Joining us as always is Bryan behind the desk, behind the TD desk there, doing his thing. And he's not set up, but Bryan's here. He's going to help us. But we've also got a excellent guest, one of our favorite guests, who's coming to us from a undisclosed location, Mr. Jason Applebaum. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing?
Good. So your video is not the smoothest, but that's because you have for a reason. You have a very good reason, right?
Yeah, this is going over T-Mobile's LTE. It's going through my phone.
So your phone is hotspotting to your laptop where you're using Skype with full video.
Yep.
Crazy, Jason. Impressive. I like it. So we'll forgive but the video doesn't look that bad right now. It looks pretty good.
It looks really good now that you plugged it into an outlet.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's better.
Excellent. All right.
And just sat down with 3 seconds to spare.
Yeah, just in time. So this week we got a great episode lined up for you. We're going to be discussing forking Android, Flappy Birds, and creepy glass. So that said, let's get right into it. Let's get into the news. So first up, as I mentioned, forking Android. A rumor kind of hit the news wires that an alleged memo from Google stated, starting February 2014, Google will no longer approve GMS distribution on new Android products that ship older platform releases. Each platform release will have a GMS approval window that typically closes 9 months after the next Android platform release is publicly available. So in other words, we all have 9 months to get new products on the latest platform after its public release. And basically, it's kind of a rumor of Google kind of clamping down on Android devices and their the devices they ship and the version of Android that they ship. Gina, what do you make of this?
So the GMS distribution is basically Google's like proprietary layer, right, over Android, over the open source layer of Android. So what Google's saying here is any new devices that want to get certified by Google, meaning that they're going to get the Play Store, that they can run Gmail, that they can get the little Google logo stamped on the back of the phone, has to be running a release that was an Android release that was put out in the last 9 months. Like that there's this window. Of course, this is all alleged. This is a rumor. This isn't official yet, but I think it's Android Police feels pretty strongly that this is actually gonna happen. And I don't know, the coverage of this seemed kind of like shocked. How could Google do this? But I think this is really a good thing, right? I mean, Google's trying to get hardware manufacturers to run the latest versions of Android, which are just a better user experience. I don't think that this is a bad thing. Actually, I'm pretty kind of happy about this. Jason's
making a face and shaking his head. So, Jason, what do you think?
I think, yes, I think it's a great thing. Do I think it'll happen? No. Even if Google decrees it, it's going to be really hard for them to enforce CTS testing within 9 months because the limitation really has very little to do with the handset manufacturers. It has more to do with the chipset manufacturers. Because the chipset manufacturers drop a BSP, which is a base system package, and basically that is, KitKat or Jelly Bean for the chip that is running, and lots of vendors just do not support older chips, and lots of handset manufacturers don't roll the latest chips into their new products. They go a year back for cost.
So the pipeline is slow. The pipeline is slower than 9 months. You're saying that you don't think this is going to happen because it's not realistic.
It's not realistic because the situation is the life cycle of a CPU right now is actually right around 9 months. And if a life cycle is 9 months, you're going to have essentially maybe 3 or 4 months to build a handset on the actual device platform and catch the new roll update. So there could be several exceptions made. I just don't see it as an enforceable thing. And in fact, I would be highly, highly surprised if this memo even exists. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
But given what they've been doing with the platform and trying to install kind of standards and install kind of a bit more control around it, I mean, conceptually it makes sense. Is it just
no, totally?
Yeah,
somebody sitting in a room going, yeah, this is a good idea. It is a great idea. I just don't think it's practical. I mean, there's just too many moving pieces to really say 9 months full stop. It just doesn't. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Well, the other thing that I think backs up your theory that questioning whether the memo exists at all or not, whether it's real or not, is that, hey, it's February 11th.
Yeah.
And so the memo says as of February 2014, wouldn't we have heard either some confirmation or some, something would be in place to make that happen, or they've still got 3 weeks to do it? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, we don't have any announcements lined up from Android or Google, for that matter, and I just don't see. I mean, that would be a major policy shift to just pull GMS, because keep in mind that would mean that lower power handsets, ones that are going to ship brand new with maybe even ice cream sandwich that's a free Android phone, couldn't get Google services, and I just don't. I don't see that move, especially with people like Samsung just doing whatever the heck they want and getting away with it.
Well, but when you think about Google and what they're doing with the Nexus platform and trying to, kind of create this perfect kind of Android kind of environment, don't you think that this would, eliminate the lesser handsets and admittedly it kind of goes against their whole let Android go out to the world and get to everybody, but it gives them a little more control over what hardware is being used and what version of Android is being used.
That's a good point. I mean, the question is, do we actually want to eliminate the lower handsets?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about when we see those market share or those numbers of the OS distribution, how often when we see those trailing phones, does it kind of sting? Would this be a way to eliminate that kind of lag and move everybody to the latest versions that much quicker? I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where, what came first, chicken or the egg? Because Google can lay down the law, but that means all the old handsets go. It's not. I don't think it's ideal either way, actually.
I think 9 months is a tight window. That's what gets me about it, is that the 9 months is, to your point, in terms of supply chain lead time and things like that. That just seems like a super specific tight window, and I question whether or not this is real as well too. But rumors are fun. We like to speculate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Open Handset Alliance had that deadline, that 18-month deal where they wanted, manufacture. I mean, Google's been trying to address the fragmentation problem in so many different ways, right? There was that 18-month window where they're saying manufacturers have to update Android to the latest and within 18 months. If they actually did lay down this new policy, which I agree, it's a really tight window and maybe it's too crazy to be true. I mean, it might mean that we speed up the hardware cycle to meet the software cycle, right? Software cycles are always a lot faster than hardware cycles. And it'll mean that, those lower level handsets, those slower handsets, I mean, the new versions of Android are specifically engineered to run well on low end devices, right? I think that's why Google's trying to get everyone onto them. I think it's a good thing. I think it would be a good thing for users. Maybe the window should be longer. Well, but I'm kind of in support of this.
Well, what's interesting, and in the article on Android Police, who wrote this? The dude. David Ruddick kind of went further through and goes into great detail about it. I encourage everybody who's curious about it to go read it. But he does call out one specific thing, which I think is interesting. He says, I'm just trying to make it crystal clear so everyone understands this policy is not a way for Google to force OEMs to update devices. This is only about GMS certification process, nothing else. Google says as much in the document and then quotes them from this supposed document that says, Google will still approve new builds of existing product that have already been approved in partner.android.com. This allows partners to provide updated security patches and critical bug fixes to Android users on previously shipped devices. So it's important to note that it's not a way to kind of force obsolescence in pre-existing devices and pre-existing products. It's a way to kind of draw a line in the sand moving forward, and what I believe is probably minimize that window on devices moving forward.
Right.
I actually that last bit of information sort of clarifies it a little bit, because that sort of alleviates the amount of time it actually takes for the certification process, because there's a lot of stages of building hardware, and I can tell you that you can certify on pretty early builds of your hardware. Yeah. So I mean that adds a little bit more validity to it. I don't know. I love the idea. I just don't think it's practical.
Yeah, and it's also what I think is also the kind of the undetermined or the unintended result of this might be, and this ties into our next story, but will you then have, I mean, because this, how important are the Google services to any Android device, and will you then have offshoot low-cost hardware that just doesn't plug to Google at all, that just runs Android, and they don't care? There's nothing to say that they can't do that. It's just that they're not going to get GSM certified.
Right.
That's really, really interesting. I mean, then I would say that's very bad for Android as a whole, because then mom doesn't know what she's buying, especially if she doesn't get the Play Store. She gets the, HTC store.
Right. Well, just think about we've seen photos around, of like flea markets and stuff like that with the badly, clip arted Android logo, and like get a $99 Android phone or tablet or something like that. I bet you that opens the door for when they've got a lot of hardware sitting, kind of low cost, cheap, kind of hardware, kind of flooding the marketplace and being sold as Android devices, but it's not tied into Google at all. It could be interesting. So who knows? But that said, moving on, Gina, why don't you tell us about the fork in Android?
Yeah, let's talk more about forking Android. I mean, along these lines, Ars Technica wrote this actually really long and passionate, I guess you call it, opinion piece, saying that Android is essentially unforkable, right? We've talked about this on the show before, the fact that Android isn't really, or the idea, the notion that Android isn't really open source. Peter Bright over at Ars is making the argument that neither Microsoft or Nokia, no one should fork Android because it's essentially unforkable. And the argument is that there's AOSP, which is the open source Android layer, which is available to anyone. And then there's GMS, there's Google Mobile Services or Google Play Services, all the proprietary Google layer, which adds value, is value on top of that open source platform.
Isn't it Google Messaging Services? Sorry.
Is it Google Messaging? It might be Google Messaging Services. You're right. Anyway,
sorry.
Google Mobile Services, Ars says. So Ars kind of runs down, what are the options for a company that wants to fork Android, wants to run Android mobile operating system on a device that they make, like Nokia or Microsoft. And there are a few different options. They can get GMS certified and run all the Google apps and offer the full Google suite, which is the best user experience right now on Android. They can fork Android and try to basically match Google feature for feature on all the proprietary features, make their own GMS basically, or they can just issue a phone that's not GMS certified, that's just bare AOSP Android, right? And the article has this very kind of strong bias toward, the open source version of Android isn't full Android, right? That there's apps that haven't been maintained and they haven't been updated, and the GMS layer is so much better and offers, so many more features to developers, not only users like the Play Store and Gmail and Maps, but to developers as well, that AOSP isn't really valuable on its own. It's a really good read if you're interested in this sort of thing, which I certainly am. But most interestingly is that a Googler, Diane Hackborn, who works for Google and has been working on Android since very early in the beginning, wrote like a point-by-point counterpoint, a comment to this article, basically saying that, Android was designed to be open from the beginning. The AOSP is a full smartphone operating system that offered that if you install it on a phone, it's a fully functioning mobile operating system, and that Android is the most open operating system that you're going to find anywhere, that there aren't any other options. And that this whole sort of, Google's evil and trying to control all of Android and control the whole world is a completely biased and misunderstanding of Google's motives around Android.
I think it's worth noting that Diane is pretty much the queen of Android frameworks.
Yep.
So she knows. I mean, she knows Android frameworks probably better than anyone on the planet, as a whole, as a full entity, and how it works from a business side and a tech side, and I would read that with that in mind.
And can we also acknowledge the fact that her last name is Hackborn, which is like the perfect name, right? I like Diane Hackborn. This is fantastic. But I mean, but I think it's interesting, and a lot of folks in the chat room were calling this out, Gina, while you're going through it. I mean, to say that Android is unforkable kind of spits in the face of Amazon a little bit.
Yeah, right. It's true. Ours did bring up Amazon and said, or you can do what Amazon did, which is totally fork it and offer your own proprietary layer on top of Android. It's Fire OS, and it's the Amazon App Store and Kindle and all that. And Amazon's done pretty well with that.
Yeah,
They've done really well, but is it any good?
well,
by whose standards? By whose standards? Seriously, I think that as Android nerds, we have this feeling that the best Android experience is the pure Google full GMS. Give me the GMS launcher. Give me the full Google suite of services. That's the real Android experience. And yes, in many ways it is. But for someone who's looking for an e-reader, the Kindle's pretty great device. It's selling pretty well. I don't know. I think that's another Android experience.
Have you used the latest Kindle?
Not extensively.
I'm going to try to put all biases aside, as hard as that is here. But the thing about this isn't pro con GMS or not, but the thing about AOSP is that it is inherently less stable, because of some of what they've built into GMS is actually core fundamental frameworks changes that fix bugs as well as add features. And as much as I love the Android team, they don't necessarily have enough time in the day to roll everything back to AOSP, and things get forgotten. And with that, they are left to be fixed by, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and several other people who have forked successfully or not Android. I just think that the it's not unforkable. I very strongly believe that it is not unforkable. I believe that it's actually pretty easily forked. It's pretty gnarly to go in without it. And I think Amazon's done an okay job, but I think they have spent too much time on sort of their application and not enough time on the actual building of AOSP. So I think there's a lot of sort of framework bugs that sort of bring it to its knees real quick.
Well, and what I think what you have here is kind of a case of Google dealing with the vision of Android from 6 years ago versus what the vision of Android is today. Whereas, we talked about this a little bit with the taking all the Google services and the different apps and kind of the locking down of apps and de-open sourcing of the Android apps of the key, kind of application layer, with Hangouts versus messaging and things like that. Because, while the vision of open source is great and sells well with developers and that sort of thing, to a certain degree, Google wants to control that Android environment to market it and to license it and to get more people using Android phones. And forking goes against that consumer plan. So what you have is you've got a case of the business and marketing people who want a certain kind of way, but then the tech people who are saying, well, but it's open source and anybody can fork it and that sort of thing. So I agree with you, Jason, that the Android as itself is absolutely forkable. The question is, how deep does that forker want to go? And can they create the services layer that Google has created that can compete?
I think Amazon did the same thing that Google is doing, except for they missed the whole bit where you kind of need the good foundation, because I don't feel like their applications are any sort of degraded experience for what it is. I think the applications are awesome. Mm-hmm. I just think the pile at which they're built up top is slightly unstable, which has more to do with the stability of AOSP than it does with raw AOSP, I should say, than anything else. And it's pretty solid, but there are bugs.
Yeah.
And so if Amazon fixed those bugs, or Nokia or Microsoft, could they submit those patches back to Google, and will Google accept them?
Don't know about that one.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a really good question.
I mean, to me, that's what gets to the core of the definition of open source. Like, so the fact that Google does all its development kind of in the dark until they do their batch drop, their release of the software, that kind of, that's one thing. People complain that's not really open. But to me, it's like, are the only committers to AOSP Google employees? I don't know the answer. No. I think that the answer is no. There are committers.
It's unequivocally no. I can absolutely, because there's like, I can tell you that Broadcom is committing towards the Bluetooth stack. I can tell you that several other employees of other organizations, including Barnes & Noble, including Kindle, including Microsoft, anyone who ships an Android device, pretty much, you can find their commits in Garrett. In the Android AOSP Garrett, pretty easily, in fact.
Okay, that's good. So that's how AOSP becomes more stable, right? Where Google has to roll back their changes, and Amazon, anybody who works on Android has to make those changes and go back too. Like, I feel like everyone's sort of accusatory that Google hasn't updated the core AOSP apps because they're concentrating all the resources on their proprietary stuff, and it's like, well, anybody can contribute to those apps, and theoretically.
And which you actually bring up a really, really interesting point, because if I'm running a company that creates an AOSP fork, not committing all of my sort of application changes that dramatically increase the framework. This is from strictly a business side. It dramatically improves my application and is sort of our advantage, right? And it's really difficult to get people to be convinced, no, we need to commit this back. And there's certain things that are really, really clear and obvious. Hey, we need to commit this back. This is a major security hole. And then there are other things that go, well, it makes every other app crash except for ours, and that's good. And not sabotage, but just to give, well, we put all this effort into it, we should be the ones to benefit, sort of thing. And I really feel like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and potentially Microsoft are probably pretty guilty of that.
Yeah, probably. But the spirit of the GPL, which is it's GPL and Apache, right? I think it's a mix of GPL and Apache that AOSP is licensed under. I mean, and this hasn't been enforced in the courts yet. But the spirit is like, if you make changes or you fix changes, you should offer them back to the community. You should republish your changes under the GPL as well. It's one of the requirements of the license, actually. So I don't know.
Well, they can publish it by putting a link in the bottom of their about page buried 600 pages in or in the middle of it. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying they're doing this. It's just, I just feel like that's sort of like, I can give you a perfect example. There's a media flinger bug that's been there for a long time, and I know lots of people have fixed it.
Right, and it just hasn't made it back. It hasn't made its way back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's been 2 years, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice kind of perfect little utopia where people fix things and check it back in, and then the main trunk and everybody's, kind of operating off the same kind of base. But to Jason's point, I mean, that's not reality. And especially as you get more and more players. And Gina, you actually mentioned, did you say Nokia before?
Yeah. Yes. Well, so Nokia is releasing its first Android phone, which is kind of how this came up. Yes. So
I feel like we talked about this like once, like every other show for the past month and a half about this rumored Nokia Android phone, and it's happening. It's not happening. No, Microsoft, and yes, Nokia.
It needs to happen because Nokia used to be the best phone maker on the planet. Not a good software maker, a good phone maker. So. And I would love the best Android, the best of Android and the best of Nokia. That could be an amazing device.
Yes. Well, they started working on it before the Microsoft deal, and it's expected to be announced at Mobile World Congress on the 24th of this month. So there you go.
Well, there you go. Well, and speaking of Mobile World Congress, not only Nokia will be there, but the newly acquired Lenovo product Motorola will be at Mobile World Congress. On February 25th, they're going to be hosting a press event in Barcelona where the speculation is that they're not going to be unveiling any new devices, but they still are going to hold this event. And so we'll find out what they have to talk about with the new world of Motorola. I don't even know where to begin what they're going to announce if they're not announcing new devices. According to senior executives, the CEO of Motorola, Dennis Woodside, will be in attendance, and they will do an update on the business. So that sounds like a thrilling press conference. No.
$5 says 5 PowerPoint slides that say, we're going to continue to make the awesome devices that we've always been known for.
We hear people like the customization, so we're probably going to keep that.
Yeah, we're going to keep that. And we're going to go back because we think Moto Blur is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so also recently on a recent episode, I think it was last week or it might have been 2 episodes ago, we were talking about the new Google Glass titanium frames, and we're lucky enough that Jason, although he is in an undisclosed location, he does have a pair of them. Is that correct, Jason?
Yes.
And now you're wearing them. That's them?
Yeah, hold on. I got to put my headphones back on precariously.
There we go.
Yeah.
So how are they?
They're really cool. It took a long time for my optometrist to make the lenses, but other than that, it was really cool because this is my prescription. This is not just glass in here. Which also talking about this is quite difficult because you have glass in your glass on glass.
It's a lot of glass. Can you fork glass though? That's the question.
Fork off.
Thank you, Gina. I agree.
They look really nice. They actually look like regular glasses, except for that one thing over your head, over your eye. Like they're less Geordie-like than the visor.
I've been referring to the visor as sort of alien to what we're used to, and this is very much normal-ish. And I've known people to just be buying the frames that don't even wear prescription lenses because they prefer to just have glasses. The weight is a lot better. With the headband, it sort of always got cockeyed. I can take my headphones off and it makes a little bit more sense here. I gotta kind of do this though.
It's fine. Go with it.
But basically what you have is if you look straight at the bridge, it's actually really straight and I can just put it on and it's always that way. I don't have to fidget with it because the actual weight of the RX lenses is keeping it much more balanced. And it's actually, it feels a lot more comfortable. So today is actually the first day in, I don't know, how long has glass been out for now?
It's been 6 months maybe or 8 months?
No, it's longer. It's got to be longer than
a
that.
year?
It's got to be over a year.
My concept of time is warped now, so it might be a year.
It's under a year. It's under a year.
It's under a year, right, yeah.
It's just under a year. So I was one of the first explorers to get glass, and I have really never gone a day with them on because I couldn't stand to put glass over my actual glasses. The idea of having 4 nose pads on my nose just was really weird. And you look like something was wrong as you walk around and glasses half cocked off your face. And, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this does. I mean, I've been wearing these all day. I've driven in them. I've gone about every day sort of for me. And I've been in a few meetings and it's a lot less obvious. Because you don't have the actual band isn't silver or I guess raw titanium. It's actually anodized black. And it's much better.
So this is your first day with it, but do you find yourself not only you're wearing it all day, but are you actually using glass at all, any of the applications, or you're just wearing it?
Yeah. No, I'm actually using it. It's becoming more normal to me because it doesn't sort of feel strange on my face. Yeah. And that was sort of a huge barrier for me personally. I couldn't get my normal work done and have this thing half cocked on my face.
That's fascinating.
As where this is much, much better. From
a vanity perspective, is the inside of the frames red too, like glass? Like, how is that? Like
yeah, hold on, I can take them off.
Yeah.
So let's see. Each side is actually red.
Interesting. And did you choose that, or is that just the model?
Yeah. So it matches your color.
Okay. Cool.
So when you buy the frames, you purchase the one in your color.
So did you bring to your eye doctor the glass? Like you brought it to him, and he's got to put the lenses in. Like, was the glass still attached, or can you detach the glass from the glasses?
Well, it comes detached.
Okay.
It comes detached. It doesn't come as one unit. It actually comes as 2 pieces because I actually just did my glass swap. So this is my 2nd generation glass, and that I got separately. And I just unscrewed the headband. There's a screw right. I don't know if you can see that. Right where my ring finger is. So that screw right there comes undone, and you can separate the headband from the glass.
Cool.
and then you just slip this one on. So they actually took the frames and sent it to the lab. And it took them about 7 days. Yeah, it took about 7 days, which is 3 or 4 days longer than normal to fit it because these frames are incredibly rigid. They said they actually had a lot of problems with the lenses cracking. But it's sort of common for this style of frames. So it's not uncommon. It's just very hard style frames apparently to fit.
Cool. Very cool. Well, it's neat to see them, A, not only in the wild, but B, to hear that it has you wearing and using glass more. I mean, that's the intended purpose, right? For people who need glasses to be able to use glass in an unobtrusive way. So really cool. So I imagine now we'll see more people with this on the streets and stuff now that they can. It seems like the time period for optometrists to get the lenses made, you beta test it. So now other people will have it out there. So.
I mean, this is really a necessary step in order for launch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you like them, Jason. If folks are interested in hearing the other side, you should watch last week's episode of This Week in Google here on Twit. My co-host Jeff Jarvis got the frames and he was pissed. He hated them. He didn't like that the arms didn't bend. He didn't like that he had to spend so much money on the frames and they only work with glass attached, so you can't unattached glass and still use the frames. They're unusable without the electronics attached. And he just felt like the price was too high. And so, well, I'm really glad that you like them, Jason. But if you want to hear the other side of it, you should hear Jeff. Jeff had a full-on rant about it.
I actually have two sort of anecdotes about the price and the actual you can't use them removed. I wouldn't want them used removed, actually. And it goes to, I also wouldn't want the arms to bend because you can't bend the other arm. So it would be really awkward to have one arm bent and the other sort of jutting out.
Right.
Because glass doesn't have a hinge in it. And I believe it doesn't have a hinge in it on purpose because I thought if it had a hinge, it would contour more to your face, causing glass not to be viewable, if I remember correctly. I heard a glass developer talking about it at one of their hangouts. And as far as the price goes, I mean, it's a $1,500 device.
You've already spent the money, right?
It's $1,500 and then $225 for the frames and then plus whatever your lenses are, right?
Correct. And lenses to get a lens cut for the correct sort of style lens that Google is requesting, it should be anywhere between $250 and $350. Depending on who does.
Jeff's point was like, look, if I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars on a new set of frames and lenses, I should be able to wear it without glass on. You know, there are times when, whatever. There might be situations like a movie theater when you're driving, when you don't want glass on. And he was saying it'd be nice if you could just detach the electronics and still use the glasses, but you can't. You have, it has to be. So
I'd like to see that for a consumer version. I'd love to see that for a consumer version. I think that's way more practical. But where they are right now, I think this is. I guess I'm more on the developer side. Going, I knew what it took to actually get this launched. So I'm impressed that they got this far.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like a product. It's it's a product development life cycle, and so they've come out with the initial product, and one of the challenges were, okay, what about people who wear glasses? Okay, now we've got a pair of glasses where the frames are adapted to it. Now they need to figure out a way to make a pair of glasses with frames where you can detach it or you can fold it, and each version will iterate on what the previous one learns from. So you got to start somewhere, and clearly, Jason, you see it as enough of a interesting thing to go down to spend close to $2,000 on total, all said, all in. So clearly you're gonna want to use it, right? So
exactly. I mean, I was sort of once I spent the $1,500, it was sort of a joke not to spend the remainder so I could use them. That's sort of how I looked at it. Like I don't consider glass a consumer product right now. I actually don't believe it's good that. I don't believe that I think it's really cool that they're testing so many people, but I don't believe that it is meant for general consumption right now. Right. And I think it's pretty far from general consumption in its current hardware state. Software is getting pretty close, but
and I agree with you there. I mean, I think, we raised the question a couple episodes back where is it even ever going to be a consumer product? Is this Glass Explorer Edition a way to, gather research and figure out wearable computing, and will the eventual consumer product be something completely different and maybe contact lenses or some other form of some other nature of it? We're like, it's so early in the game. Who knows? Who knows what direction Google will be? And they could abandon the whole project and apply it to another sort of technology. So, but right now it is what it is. And you're right. I mean, I think if you need glasses and you bought Google Glass and you don't do this, it's kind of like, well, why did you spend the money? So,
yeah. I mean, what do both of you have glass?
I don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
In fact, I just shipped mine. I'm just doing my swap now, so I don't have them on me right now because I just mailed them back.
Did you change your color?
I didn't.
Okay.
I went with a very boring gray.
I'm very sad.
I went from black to orange. You're sad?
I can't justify the $1,500. I don't have an application that I'm developing. I don't see a reason to spend the money on it. It would just be a $1,500 toy that sometimes I play with and that sort of thing. So I couldn't justify it. I want it. Like, I want that price to come down to, $499. I'd pull the trigger and do it. But $1,500 is too much. So
I wonder, that sort of kind of leads to a speculation of what the actual price will be for launch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the thing isn't cheap. They're using really, really, really high-end materials. Like, I can't imagine the thing costs less than $1,500 as it stands with the swaps and with everything. Like, I just can't imagine they're making money on this.
Yeah, I can't imagine that the margin that Google's getting on the Explorer Edition is pretty. Like, listen, this thing only costs $300 to make. We're fleecing these people.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happening.
No, exactly. That's why it sort of terrifies me that if it really is $1,500 and they're operating sort of neutral, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see where it goes. And we've speculated about what the price is going to be on previous shows, and who knows, we'll see what the future of it looks like. But it's definitely curious. So, well, either way, Jason, thank you for the little demo of the frames. It's cool that you have them. And we'll be curious to hear what your experiences with glass are moving forward as you wear them on a daily basis. So that's cool. Yeah. But now let's do some business, and let's thank lynda.com for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. Lynda.com is an online learning company that can help anyone learn creative software and business skills to achieve both personal and professional goals. With a Lynda.com subscription, members receive unlimited access to a vast library of current and engaging video tutorials across a wide variety of subjects, everything from creative and software skills to business negotiation and app development. With Lynda.com, you'll learn how to code, create, and build Android applications in Java, from the foundations of object-oriented Java programming to using the Android API to create engaging mobile apps. Learn to develop apps for today's popular desktop and mobile platforms. Build web apps with .NET, PHP, and MySQL, and improve your language skills with JavaScript, Ruby, C, C++, R, and much more. You can improve your skills, learn new software, and keep up with technology with over 2,000 courses and new courses added daily. For Android developers, you can find a number of tutorials specific to developing for the platform, including Foundations of Programming, Android App Development with Java Essential Training, Android SDK Essential Training, Up and Running with Java Applications, and Building and Monetizing Game Apps for Android. All fantastic topics that you can learn with lynda.com. Instructors are working professionals at the top of their fields and expert teachers. They've got high-quality video production from state-of-the-art studios. These aren't the homemade videos you're going to find on YouTube. You've got curated course content, and each lynda.com course is carefully structured so users can learn from start to finish or jump to a specific chapter. Easy-to-follow videos that can help you find the answers you need, searchable transcripts that even let you search within a video to find exactly what you're looking for. They've got courses for all experience levels, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, covering a wide range of technical skills, creative techniques, and business strategies, and more. You can watch from your computer, tablet, or mobile device. You can switch and pick up on the chapter where you left off. You can learn at your own pace on your own schedule. So listen, you really want to learn? Lynda.com is the place for it. It's only $25 a month for access to the entire Lynda.com course library. For $37.50 a month, you can subscribe to the premium plan, which includes exercise files that let you follow along with the instructors using the same project assets they do. And you can try Lynda.com right now for free on a 7-day trial. Visit lynda.com/allaboutandroid to access the entire library. That's over 2,000 courses free for 7 days. That's lynda.com/allaboutandroid. And we thank lynda.com for their support. All right, let's dive into the apps. Or let's try apps. Listen, if anything, we know that Jason is the glue that holds this show together. Gina, what do you got for us in the world of Firefox?
First up in apps, we're hearing a little something from a little old browser called Firefox. Remember Firefox? Mozilla and Everything Me, which is a custom app launcher, Mozilla and Everything Me are partnering, and they previewed the new Firefox launcher for Android last week. So they said the Firefox launcher for Android makes it easy to discover the content you want any moment. It's optimized for the way you use your phone. So basically, this launcher combines Everything Me, which is a free launcher, which is available in the App Store right now, in the Play Store right now. It combines Everything Me with Firefox for Android. So the idea is that this launcher will give you sort of a customized experience depending on time of day, where you are. And I feel like every episode of the show recently has been about a new app, a new launcher app that like changes up your phone depending on context. AV8 does something like this, very, very similar. And it looks like Firefox is going this way for Android as well. I actually haven't tried Everything Me, like the current version of Everything Me, but it sounds very much like, you know, you're at the gym and it shows you your gym apps. You wake up in the morning, it shows you your morning apps, and that kind of thing. So that sort of adaptive home screen context or a custom home screen based on context is going to hook into Firefox for Android and show you web content through the Firefox browser on Android.
You know, I was looking at Everything Me launcher and I was considering using it for the Arena, but I was like, you know, I'm kind of over launchers.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I played with AV8 and we went through the whole Facebook thing and now with, you know, with KitKat, we've got the Google search kind of launcher or whatever. And I kind of just, all the bells and whistles, they're too much for me. And I imagine if I was a big Firefox fanboy, I'd be all over this. But for me, it's like, it just gets in the way of everything and forks it in a direction I don't want to go in. Jason, are you excited by this at all? Or that says it all.
How do I not sound negative? So that's cool. I personally am Launcher 2 for life. I need that on like a T-shirt or something. I agree with you. There's too many bells and whistles. That's why I use Launcher 2 even on my Nexus 5. So yeah,
I mean, the thing is, I don't see a launcher dramatically changing the way I use my phone.
No, I don't either. And I've actually had – so there was a Kickstarter not too long ago for somebody who wanted to make a contextual launcher. For the life of me, I can't remember. But he raised like $60,000 to do this launcher. And it was fairly big news about a year ago when he did it. And it turns out that contextual launching is really cool, but I use the same apps throughout the whole day. So it doesn't really apply to me, I guess, is the best way to put it, because I don't use different apps in the morning than I do at night.
Yeah.
We're just not the target audience, right? I mean, we know enough about our phones, we care enough about our phones that we customize them exactly how we want them, and we don't want some process in the background moving around our icons or changing up our home screen. So I get that. I feel the same way. Like, look, I want to set my home screen the way I want it, and then I don't want it to change. But for a different audience, for sort of, normal users or whatever, people who are going into the app drawer and like swiping through pages and pages of apps to get to their, whatever walk pedometer app when they go for a walk, this is the kind of thing I think that's useful. Google Now has really sort of sold me on these sort of anticipatory apps. And I know that this is different than a launcher, but like Now does such a good job of being like, you search for this thing and we think you want to know about it now. Like, here's an update from a website you looked at, or like, you're at the airport, here are your tickets. And I never felt like, I feel like I'm a power user and I can bring up the stuff that I need when I want it. But Now has really sort of shown me like, oh, hey, technology that can truly smartly anticipate what you want is actually really useful. But Now is one screen on my phone that I flip over to, and the rest is the way that I want it. So it's this weird kind of balance of like, I want things where I put them, but also I want you to tell me what I want.
Well,
that's extremely well said.
Yeah, and it's funny you should mention that because our next story here ties into an update to the Google search app on your phone that allows you to set and then refer to people in your contacts by your relationship with them. And this also makes me incredibly sad and pathetic for my life of singledom. But what you could do is you could tell Google who your wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend is, or I guess I could do my sister or my mom or whatever. And then on Google Voice Search, you can tap it and just say, call mom, and it will come up with their contact card. And you choose what number to call and whatnot. So if you want to do it, this is how it works. Basically, you open Google Now and tap the microphone button at the top, or say, okay, Google, to light it up on your Nexus 5. And just say, call my, and then say whoever you want to call. So call my mom or call my brother or call my wife. If you have yet to assign the relationship, you'll be prompted again to speak the person's name. So you say, call my mom, and then you say your mom's name. And then you confirm the name, or you can pick from your contacts manually. And then from that point on, whenever you say call mom, it will pull up that card. If there are multiple numbers, as you saw it there, it will. You can select a preferred number for voice dialing, so it can immediately call. If you say call my wife, call her direct on her cell phone. So again, it's taking that. Google Now getting a little smarter. Admittedly, this isn't as anticipatory as you were talking about, Gina, but this is in that idea of minimize the number of steps it takes to get you to what you want. We have the information. Just give us a little bit of an association, and then we'll help you make the call that much easier. I mean, is this something that you're going to set up, Gina, and use, or?
So I tried this out with Call Mom and inform a poll. So I do Call Mom, but here's the thing: like I have my mom in my phone as Mom. Like I don't have her proper name, so that didn't work. So then I was like, all right, well let me try Call My Brother, right? So I tried Call My Brother, and now I got two brothers, so that doesn't really work because I was just about to ask who's your brother?
What's so funny is that like I enter my mom in by her name on her phone. I've always done that. It's my mom's my dad's full name. That's why it's funny because my dad and I have the exact same name, and so I have a contact card, and it like mixes our numbers all the time.
Own contact number? Do you have a contact card for yourself?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I actually have a contact card for myself too, and I'm not really sure why.
I don't know why either.
Yeah, but your name is your name the same as your mother's?
No.
Well, see, when he says call Ron Richards, he's calling himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So like I don't know. I don't imagine me saying to my phone like call my wife. Like I don't know. I feel like I would just use the person's name. That said, like it's fine, call my boss. I don't know. Like it's cool. But then when I tried to call my brother, I was like, that doesn't work because I have two brothers. When I said call mom, it just called my mom because that's her name in my phone. Yeah. And so I didn't really see a use for it.
What if Google improves it and like call my favorite brother?
Right. Or what if you have multiple, a lot of people have multiple parents, they have stepmoms, you have, if you have in-laws, you call it a lot of time in-laws, they say, oh, call me dad or call me mom.
That
so now you've got two
calling
moms.
In-laws.
Yeah.
I should throw a couple, call my life partner. I should throw a few things at it and see how it does.
Like, so is this bad that I have my wife in my phone as wife? Because I didn't want to say her name.
No, that's the same as Gina putting in mom, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Kind of the same.
Yeah.
So you did that. So you did that so you could say call wife. So this shortcuts it for you. You could actually have her full name in there and still say call my wife, and it'll work. This is great.
I've always strived to put full names in phones to avoid situations, because then I ended up, because I'm a single guy, I'm out there, I'm dating and stuff like that. I end up with a phone where I've got Shannon Blonde, or or I had once I had Nice Marie. Like all these like.
Hey, that's two names.
Yeah,
that's identifying. You don't just have, then you could have not Nice Marie.
Right, yeah, exactly. So
Ron will be like, call my boo.
Yeah. No.
He'll be like, wait, just tap your contact.
Lots of fun with contacts, that's for sure. Thank you, Google. It's always an adventure. So we can't get enough of Glass, though. Gina, do you want to take us back to Glassland?
Yeah. Speaking of contacts, a new Google Glass app, a glassware, not official glassware, unofficial because Google says they won't distribute it, lets you look at a person through glass and will search the internet for you and tell you all sorts of things about them. This app is called Name Tag. So I've got Glass on. If I've got Name Tag sideloaded onto Glass, I could look at you, Ron. It would scan your face, and then it would go online and search social networking profiles, city records, public records, and it'll tell me all kinds of things about you, like your full name and your relationship status and what school you went to, your current occupation, your interests, whether or not you have a criminal record. This is all information that's, potentially
not have a doppelganger.
Yeah.
Well, hey, have you been watching that show on Fox, Almost Human?
No.
It's the show with Carl Urban and the other guy who I think he's in the About Last Night movie or whatever. And it's set in the near future, and there are androids that are cops, and everyone's all connected. It's actually a really cool show from a technology standpoint, because it's one of those things where it's not too far in the future where it's completely alien and insane, but it's actually believable, like, oh, we could go in this direction. And one of the things is that the android, the main character, when he sees people, you see a little circle go around their face and then a little card come up with information, and you see like the android's point of view, and he's getting all the information. It's exactly this.
It's this.
How well does
exactly
this work?
This. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to try it, but I might, because I want to see what happens when I look at myself. Right?
Yeah.
You can opt out of this. It's opt out, though.
Oh, there's an opt out, really?
How do you opt out from the internet?
Well, so I guess you can. So once it gathers the details, Name Tag, which is his app, it uploads them to facialnetwork.com, right? Which has a database.
Is it facialnetwork.com?
Yes, facialnetwork.com. So without your permission. So if you want, you can opt out purportedly out of facialnetwork.com. I haven't had the pleasure of trying that out yet. I'm loading up facialnetwork.com.
No,
right
don't
now.
unload facialnetwork.com. That's not a website you want to go to ever.
No. I
mean, it's actually kind of a good-looking website.
So they're going to create a hash map of your face, shove it up there with a bunch of data that might or might not be correct.
Right.
And, man, this is going to be so much fun to troll. This is going to be awesome. Somebody needs to create a LinkedIn style page that's easily scrapable and has all the same metadata that just has terrible things about random people.
Wait a minute. Can we go back to facialnetwork.com's homepage? Look at this scrolling ticker along the bottom. That's neighborhood watch,
citizen score,
creep face. Like what is this?
Identity.
Wait, what? Facialnetwork.com?
Yeah,
this is basically a scrolling ticker of creepy facial recognition apps that like upload to that feed facialnetwork.com.
Now I understand, like something like Hello Name Tag. I understand, like it's a name tag. Like you're at a conference and you hit somebody, you get information about them. I think that's really cool. For years, I had a great idea that we should all have little baseball cards with our picture, and on the back it would have like key information where it's like, Ron lives in San Francisco, likes comic books, likes pinball, likes Android. Like parents died in a horrific car accident, like things that you should know when you meet someone, because no, my parents didn't. They're okay. I'm just saying hypothetically, because then if you got my card, you would then know not to mention horrific car accidents around me, like that sort of thing. But this is like that, doing that, but online.
Not to steer us off topic, but is that a common thing you talk about?
No, it's a social thing that I came up with, I think.
Got it. I like it. All right. I think today we can mark the beginning of Skynet. I mean, this is how it starts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So first of all, I'm not super worried about this because facial recognition is not awesome. And second, the glass camera isn't great either. And third, the bandwidth restrictions are pretty intense. So I'm not super worried about this app, although it's a really cool tech demo, I would assume, not having used it myself. If it worked once, that'd be kind of cool. But I
feel like this. I feel like it's almost like the facial unlock in Android, where it's like, oh, that's a cool thing, and then yet nobody ever uses because it doesn't work that great. But this demo of Hello Name Tag is creepy as heck.
Yeah, it is. I mean, well, you'll just see glass. I mean, if you ever see a glass user running, just start running with them.
Yeah, I don't know what's creepier.
They've obviously identified a problem.
Look at that! Oh my God, criminal history. I don't know what's creepier: the fake glass head the guy's using to demo this with, or the actual app itself.
the thing is that this isn't a Glass thing, right? Like, I feel like this is like, creepy Glass app. It's the, the FUD already going around. I mean, this technology exists, right? Like I remember covering a couple of people websites, and I feel like Spokia may be one of them. But basically, there are people search engines that, crawl social networking sites and online databases and, and get all that information about people that they possibly can online anyway, right? Glass just lets you, just adds the facial recognition part of it, which, as you said, is crappy.
It
just puts it on your face. It just makes it a lot easier, which is what technology does, right? It makes things a lot easier that already exist. So this kind of thing doesn't bother me too much because it's like, this is possible anyway. If you really want to know who I am, you could pretty easily take a picture of me and upload it to Google reverse image search and figure out, just with a Google search, find out a whole lot about me anyway. But this is just the kind of thing that Google really has to watch out for. Like, this is the huge this is the marketing problem. This is the PR problem about Glass. But we're headed this way. I mean, this is inevitable, right?
I'm not a doomsayer person. I'm not a doomsday person. But Jason's right. This is the beginning of the end. This is it. This is the moment. This is like the moment the satellite goes sentient. Like, this is like when this starts happening and you got cops wearing it and stuff like that. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, this is the beginning of it, I think.
The cop on a Segway with Glass on his face.
I saw again today. No, was it yesterday on BART and the BART station Civic Center in San Francisco? I saw a cop not with glass, but with a pair of glasses with a camera attached to the glasses. I mean, that's it's common.
Virgin has just to take this to a less creepy place. Virgin has started to use this exact same style of display, except for they're not using facial recognition. They're using your boarding pass. When you scan your boarding pass, you're being greeted by name on the aircraft now with glass. Because what happens is they scan the ticket, and then the ticket their software then triggers the Glass event to say so-and-so is boarding the aircraft. Yeah. And I think that's actually a really, really sort of a cool thing to do with it. Yeah, it's slightly in the realm of how do you know my name, but they sort of know it anyway if they're paying attention. They just don't have to look down anymore, and it's a much more human experience.
Fascinating. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. So, well, that said, Jason, I know you got to go because you're on the road. It's been great having you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on. We always appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody where we can find you online?
Well, thanks for having me, and check me out on Twitter or Google+. I'm at Applebaum on Twitter, and I guess I've got my special URL, so it's jason.applebaum.
All right, cool.
Nice. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Yes, and hopefully we'll get you in the studio next time. It'll be fun to see you again.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, safe travels.
Thank you. Have a good.
All right, so let's do a little more business, and let's thank 99 Designs for sponsoring this episode of All About Android. Listen, are you dreaming about the perfect logo or website design but don't know how to get started? Are you worried about budgets? 99 Designs can help you. 99 Designs is the world's largest graphic design marketplace, and it makes it easy to get a design you love. Just go to the website, tell them about the design you need, pick a price package that works for you, then the fun really begins. Designers from around the globe will submit awesome designs, and you'll give feedback. Within a week, you'll pick your favorite and be the proud owner of a gorgeous new design. With over 270,000 designers at your fingertips, there's no limit to what you can get designed. You can boost your brand's visibility with a t-shirt or car wrap design, or drive more traffic with a sleek new banner ad or landing page. Projects start at just $199, and your happiness is always 100% guaranteed. Visit 99designs.com/AAA and get a $99 power pack of services for free. A power pack gives you more designer time and attention. 99 Designs will bold, highlight, and feature your design project in 99 Designs' marketplace, and you'll get nearly twice as many designs. I got to tell you, people, 99 Designs, the next time I have a project that I need to get designed, a website or something like that, I'm going right to 99 Designs because browsing through the site and seeing some of the designers that are out there, they've got some good people working on it. And you can get some really, really classy designs for whatever you're trying to put together. So go to 99designs.com/AAA, and we thank 99 Designs for their support of All About Android. It's awesome to have them. That said, let's do some more apps.
Double app section. See, Jason gets sick, and we're just like, forget it. We're
exactly.
Double apps. I like it.
The title of this episode possibly could be Keeping Bryan on His Toes. Talk about keeping on your toes. Last week we joked about it, and the whole kind of Flappy Bird story took a weird turn in between episodes of last week. So for those of you who don't know what Flappy Birds is an app that was in the marketplace. It's been in the marketplace for a while. It's a little game. Leveraging that whole kind of 8-bit kind of design look and feel. And it was a tapper. Basically, what happened was that they had very similar pipes to like Super Mario Brothers. And the whole idea was you tap to keep the bird in the air, and the idea was to get by without bumping into anything. Somehow it got over 10 million downloads in Google Play and also on iOS. It was a huge, everyone loved it. Everyone was talking about it. Everybody was posting their scores and that sort of thing. And then finally, the story took a weird turn when the creator of the game took the game down this past Sunday. He made some very interesting kind of comments over Twitter, talking about it, about how the game was becoming too much for him to handle. And ultimately, even though it was making over $50,000 a day in ads, he said it was too much for him. And then he recently broke his silence and came out and said, actually, it was because the game was too addictive. And he says it happened to become an addictive product. I think it has become a problem, explains Dong Nguyen, who released the game. So to solve that, he's removed the app from all the app stores, and now it's gone forever. An interesting little thing about this, I saw phones preloaded with the game for sale on eBay after he took it down.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So the chapter of the Flappy Bird story in the App Store will be one I think people look back on. I was convinced that he took it down because he sold it. I thought for sure that Zynga came in and bought it or whatnot because everyone was talking about it. You're seeing all sorts of Flappy Bird parodies, like I saw before. Bryan was showing Doge Bird, or little parody versions. People are kind of all these memes were going through Twitter about kind of referring to it. It's fascinating to see how it took off with the whole app community. Gina, you never fell down the Flappy Bird well, did you?
No, I've been living under a rock, and I did not play Flappy Bird. I saw a few of my friends talking about it. Friends of mine who I know are on iOS. So I stupidly sort of made the assumption without checking that it was an iOS game. And honestly, I've just been busy, so I didn't get a chance to look at it. And now I'm sort of sad because I just didn't get it. So now I'm just curious after this whole story went down. This is kind of a weird story, and I totally get, and part of it is cultural. So in Asia particularly, video game addiction is a big deal, right? Much more of a big deal than it is here in the U.S. So if the developer, and it sounds like the developer was saying that he was genuinely concerned that people were getting addicted to the game. It seems like that's the reason why he pulled it. Yep. Even though it was making a ton of money, and by any measure, a tremendous success. What happened with Flappy Bird is basically every app developer's dream, right? This is what you're trying to do. You want to make an app that everybody loves and plays and has, tremendous. Even if you're not making money, just watching your downloads number go up is a high in and of itself. And I can tell you that because I've experienced that. Yep. So, and to me, it's like, he's a developer. If he was worried about it being addicting, why didn't he, put some sort of a check in the game? If a person has spent more than an hour playing, to change it up or to pause it, or, because he spent a lot of time on Twitter saying to people, hey, maybe you should take a break, because people were tweeting, I've been, playing Flappy Bird for 6 hours. And he was like, well, you should take a break. You should take a break. It seemed like a weird way a strange way for an app developer to handle it, just to pull it. I would think that he would have made a change to the game, that it behaved differently. He says that he's going to continue to create games. There was some confusion or speculation about how this game got so popular so quickly, because it was really hard, right? Ron, from what I heard, it was a difficult game. It was extremely sensitive. If you touched any of the pipes, you were dead.
I'm playing it right now, and I'm doing just fine.
Yeah, you're doing really well. Yeah,
you can see my high score. My high is a 61. I got that.
And that's a pretty good score. I heard friends talking about being really proud of being in the 50s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems like a strange story. I wish him the best. I hope that he kind of sort of comes to peace with the whole situation. It sounds like this game just created such an uproar of, positive and negative feedback for him.
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, it was definitely. And let's see if I can talk while I'm playing the game. It was definitely no, and I can't. There's the answers. I cannot because I am old. It was definitely a bit of a like. It was a bit of a tempest in a teapot that happened very quickly, very fast. With over 10 million downloads purely on the Google Play Store, and I forget what the number was in the iOS store, and he was making $50,000 a day in ads. Clearly, he got a good. His time was well compensated. Let's say that. And he went further on to say that he's like, I will continue to develop games. So you got to bet that the next game this guy comes out with, everyone's going to be looking at.
Yeah.
And really, he's he learned from it. And whether it's truly the addictive nature of it, or the support, or the attention, I mean, let's be honest. Not all developers are social people. They don't want as much, not all developers want a ton of attention on them. And maybe he just shied away from it and he wants to go away and he did it. He put it out there. He learned from it. Now he's going to do something else. Either way, it's just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. And I, last week on the show, we were a little harsh on it. I hadn't played it yet. I hadn't even downloaded it yet. Phil was pretty judgmental of it, if I remember correctly. But I downloaded it. I checked it out. I'm like, oh, this is what. Once I got over the incredibly frustrating aspect of it, like it took me about 2 or 3 days to get the hang of it. But once I did, like you saw, I got a 61. I was doing all right, and it's a fun little game to play when I'm sitting on the train. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating game. The fact that it's 8-bit, that the graphics aren't that. There's nothing. It's very sensitive. It takes a while. It's extremely frustrating at first. That seems to be the experience. That it's really frustrating at first, but then you get it, and then it's really fun, and you can't stop. Yep. And the fact that it is very addictive. I mean, there's something really interesting there. And as a game developer, I mean, that's kind of what you're shooting for. You want to build a game that people want to play and play and play and play, particularly one that's ad supported, right? I mean, the whole model of ads is that people are looking at ads. So anyway, I wish him luck. It seems like people kind of came down on it, you guys and other Kotaku and a lot of other sort of places that cover games sort of not ripped it to shreds, but at least were sort of eye rolly about it, right? Yeah,
which I think is dumb. That's just elitism. And the thing is, yes, it looks kind of like Mario Brothers, and yes, it's very simple. My biggest complaint about the darn game was there are no sound controls. So here I am, and the sound is very harsh, and maybe that's a part of it. But like then when you hit that wall or hit a pipe, it like makes this noise. And I'd be listening to my podcast, and I like to turn the sound off on games, and I just wanted to turn the sound off, but I've gotten used to it. So I don't know. I've gotten enjoyment out of it. I'm glad that he created the game. I think it's fine. So and the thing is, it's his. He can do whatever he wants with it. If he wants to take it down, he can take it down. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. So speaking of apps getting pulled from the Play Store, removed, Themer, which is a really popular Android theming app, got suspended from the Play Store for a few days due to copyright concern. Apple's copyright concern. Themer has like 200 different themes that you can apply to your Android phone to customize it. And one of those themes was called 7. And all the icons in that theme and the art in that theme looked a whole lot like iOS 7. So Apple files copyright claim concerns with Google. Google pulls Themer from the Play Store. Themer, the company, and it's like a dozen people working on this app every day, removes the 7 theme and resubmits it to the Play Store I think this all happened. I think Apple filed a complaint on February 2nd, and I think on February 10th. The CEO of Themer posted this kind of angsty letter saying like, hey, we removed the offending content. There's hundreds of other themes in this app, but Google won't reinstate it. We can't get in touch with Google. We're not hearing anything back. And then within hours, it was reinstated to the Play Store. So the whole thing has been resolved, but kind of highlights an interesting thing about the Play Store. I don't know if it's interesting, or I don't even really know if it's news. It's certainly not news, I think, for developers, which is like if you get into a position where your stuff gets pulled, and in fact, Leo knows this running Twit. I mean, his Twit videos get pulled from YouTube all the time. It's sort of analogous. There's often no recourse, right? There's often no point of contact. There's often no way to say, hey, I fixed this problem, or this was not actually a problem. This is a misunderstanding. And you're kind of at Google's mercy to some degree.
Yeah.
That said, they did name the theme 7, and it did look a lot like iOS 7.
I mean, that's the thing, is that it's a fine line. Like when you're doing that sort of thing, you got to expect it. You got to be prepared for it. If it was completely unique or completely like of their own type thing, but you know what they were doing. Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting story. Yeah. Another
Themer's back.
I'm sorry.
Themer's back, so it's all good.
It's all back. Yeah, it's all over. Yeah, so there you go. Another interesting story and kind of the I can't believe they did this file, and actually I can't believe it took this long for this sort of thing to happen. Electronic Arts, which is a gaming company, some people like them. A lot of people have some criticisms of their practices. But recently, with their new release of Dungeon Keeper in the Android store, they're doing something with the feedback mechanism, which like I said, frankly, I'm shocked hasn't been done before. When you play the game, as many different games that I'm sure many of you played it, and you get kind of like, hey, what do you think of this game? Leave some feedback. And it's a call to action for users to go into the Google Play Store to leave comments on the app, to rate it, and that sort of thing. What Electronic Arts does, they've gamed that mechanism so that when you're in the game and it comes back and asks you for feedback, if you choose 5 stars, it sends you to the Google Play Store to leave your good review. If you say you want to leave a rating of 1 to 4 stars, it pulls up an email form for you to email EA directly.
That's pure evil. That's not right.
So now EA's defense is that we're committed to making the best possible games and that we want to get feedback and we want to hear directly from our users and that sort of thing. But the public advocate opinion is, so you don't want negative reviews on your app in the Google Play Store then, huh? Like, is that's the suggestion that's being made. Whether or not that was their intention or not, it is very clever that's how it's working out. So
I'm looking at this prompt. It's 1 to 4 stars on the left, and then 5 stars. So
and look, and the ratings are look at the
results. It's
go
working.
over, Brian. Go down more. The what you call it, the spread, right? So look how many 5-star reviews there are of this game. 24,000 compared to the 8,000 or so of 1 through 4 stars. So
it's working.
Yeah, it's clearly working. I mean, it's clever. It's smart. Good job, guys. Good job, EA.
Know how to use your Play Store, kids. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Know how to use the Play Store.
And don't underestimate your users too. I mean, because honestly, that's kind of like a and the sad thing is that 24,000 users clearly just didn't,
Yes, I will give you 5 stars.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get into the arena and have some fun.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
All right, so we're making up the arena as we go along. Normally we take a look at last week's apps and see how they did, but unfortunately our friends at Straw Poll are having some difficulties, so we don't really know who won last week. So given that Gina wasn't here and Jason's not here, I'm going to say I won.
You won, Ron.
I won.
Way to go.
Hey, but that said, last week I showed the game. Last week was the week I showed Line, that game, like kind of connect the lines type thing. I got a lot of feedback on Google Plus and on Twitter from people enjoying that game, and I heard from the developer as well. So I'm going to assume everybody loved that game, and I won the arena. So there you go. So this week we've got myself, we've got Gina, and I believe it's the first time ever.
It is the first time.
Bryan is going to be an arena noob. And we're going to let him lead off, and he's going to try to Clash of the Titans as he goes up against me and Gina.
Yeah, kind of a rough start. But,
yeah.
So the one that I picked was a game that I was really excited about coming out for a long time because they've done other versions, which I'm sure a lot of people in our audience have heard before. But Final Fantasy VI finally came out. And so
I didn't think you were serious when you said you wanted to do this.
Why? Why wouldn't I be serious?
Oh, it was nice.
I know.
That's
Okay. This is probably the most
damning price.
expensive app you guys have ever done on the show, I imagine. Has any other apps come up to
I don't think there's ever been an app more than $10 in the arena.
Okay.
I'm sure the chat room will correct me, but at $15.99, I think this is the most expensive app.
So I'll start. It's $16, but
Jeez.
to be fair, there's a lot of hours of games to be played here. Have you ever played any of the Final Fantasies, Gina or Ron?
I haven't.
I have.
Okay, so you know that they go on, and Final Fantasy VI is no exception, and it does have a lot of story. So I've been playing this game a lot, and I took some B-roll earlier because it's a little hard to TD and do both.
Look at Bryan getting prepared.
Nice.
He took B-roll of his game.
Wow.
This was definitely a rush job, but thank you, Jason. But yeah, so they redid all the graphics for it, and you could download this game and do an emulator to play it, but this is an official release, and what you're getting for your very high price for an app, $16, is like a completely revised UI, and it's all customized for touch now. Whereas, the thing that bugs me with other games that you do through an emulator, it has the D-pad and the buttons on the screen a lot of the time, or you have to use a separate controller. But they did a good job with this, I think. If you watch like the little battle playing out right here, you can kind of just touch the screen anywhere to select attacks, and you can also scroll through your different choices for what you want to do. So it really they streamlined it really well for I'm using a Moto X, so it's a relatively small screen compared to power button compared to the Nexus 7, which I think it would look even better on that. But yeah, so they redid all the graphics. They're not crazy different from the original game, but they did a lot of nice touches to the landscape and some of the character art, and they did a good job with the animations and stuff. So I was pretty happy with that. And what else is there? There's a few things that kind of were buggy when it first came out, and that was the battery life was really, really bad. I think when I sit down to play this game, it's usually an hour at a time. Embarrassing to say that, but I'd play it for a long time, and my battery life would just take a dive. But they've released a couple of updates. They've been pretty on top of it. This app's only been out since, I think, January 21st, I believe is when it came out. So it hasn't been too long, but they've been pretty on top of releasing updates for it. And they've added a few other things. Like they have a list of all the monsters that you fight in the game and stuff. So a couple of cool little, Easter eggs and stuff that they added to it. But yeah, they've also got this. This was an added feature where you can go through some of the story plot points that you've hit, but maybe you didn't remember everything, so you can go back and read the story. This was definitely one of my favorite games to play on the Super Nintendo when it first came out, and it's fun to be able to play it on my phone. But one caveat is, Ron, you say you play your game on BART and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This game requires you to be able to sign on. It does a check to Square
it drives me
Enix.
crazy, the network sign in, yeah.
Exactly. So I saw a few complaints. It's not a problem for me because usually when I play them at home, definitely not at work. But one of the things you'd have to do is if you're going to take this on the subway or somewhere you don't have internet access, be sure to load up the app and then sign on, and then it can run in the background, and you can get access to it that way. So yeah, that was one of the only few problems I've had, but yeah, really enjoyed it. They did a great job with the controls, and I think that's what makes the price worth it. That and the updated graphics.
So I have two questions for you.
Sure.
Question number one is: do you feel as if you've gotten $16 worth of the game?
With the nostalgia factor, yeah. I think I have. I've liked it a lot. I've been waiting for this game to come out for a long time because they've done the other Final Fantasies. So this was my favorite because it was kind of the end of the SNES era of the games. But they've also done 5. They've done 4. Don't be fooled when you see Final Fantasy 3 on here because this is actually the Japanese release of Final Fantasy 3. Yeah. But yeah, and they've done Chrono Trigger and stuff, so they've updated the graphics. I think they did a good job. Definitely the most I've ever paid for an app, but if I was going to pay that much for any app, it would have been this game. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you pay that much for an app?
No.
I would for an app that I really wanted. That was but I'm a developer, so I'm on the developer side of pay the developers.
But it's Square Enix. I mean, I don't really think Square Enix is hurting for your app purchase.
No. But it's to be fair. So Flappy Bird was free, right?
Yeah.
And this doesn't have any ads in it, and I mean, this has a story to it. At least you're not just flying through pipes.
How many hours have you played it so far?
I think about 10 hours deep right now.
I mean, when you quantify what your time is, you know what I mean? Maybe $16. If I spend $15 on a movie, and that's 2 hours. So you've already gotten more entertainment than I got out of going to see Dallas Buyers Club. So there you go. Well, Well, my other question for you is, do you think making B-roll of you playing the game, do you think that helps your chances in the arena?
I think that was the only way I had of showing the game. So, yeah, of course it does.
I don't think anyone's ever done that before. I'm impressed. Like, not even Chad didn't even do that. I'm very impressed, Brian.
How the heck did he ever show his apps off?
The initiative. He was a man of many talents,
Okay.
Chad. May he rest in peace. I love Chad. I was at a party with him this past weekend. It was fun.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, Brian, excellent. So Final Fantasy VI, $15.99. It's in the Google Play Store. Gamers might like it, so check that out. Gina, since I won last week, you're up next.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. So you know me. I'm a sucker for productivity apps, any sort of like organizing project management app. So my pick this week is Basecamp. Basecamp, the official app. So you're in the web app world. You know about Basecamp. This is very, very popular project management a web app by 37 Signals. Old school web company, been around for like 15 years. And in fact, they've renamed the company Basecamp. They're just dedicated to Basecamp. Basecamp is a project management tool. It's always just been on the web, and then it came out for iOS. And there were all these unofficial apps on Android that would let you access your Basecamp on Android, but they were never really that good. Finally, 37 Signals / Basecamp released the official Basecamp app. And this thing is beautiful. 37 Signals is it's a design company. It was started out as a design company, really known for its gorgeous design. So it's so cool to see, and we're actually showing you screenshots in the Play Store because you really kind of have to have a couple of projects set up to really understand, kind of what it looks like with data. But it's really cool to see a company that's known for its design put those design talents toward developing on Android and doing it in a way that also sort of incorporates Android's best practice and design guidelines, along with their branding. So this is a traditional straight-up project management app. And I know that I featured another project management app, Trello, a while ago. I also really like Trello, and I use Trello as well as Basecamp. But our design team wanted to use Basecamp, so I'm using it with them. And unlike Trello, Basecamp is like a very traditional project management app in that there are to-do lists that you can assign to people and add due dates and labels and discuss. There's a discussions area where you can have conversations via email. You can reply via email. There's a files area where you can upload files or you can draft documents and see revision history on them and comment on them. It's basically got pretty straightforward project management tools. Unlike Trello, that's kind of like that crazy whiteboard metaphor. This is straight kind of to-do list. You need to get stuff done. You enter it in for your team. You invite your team, and you check the boxes and have conversations. And the Android app is just really, really well done. Looks great on any size screen. As you can see, there's a big screen, tablet screen screenshots there in the Play Store we're showing you. It looks really great on a phone as well. It does not have push notifications yet, which is a disappointment, but this app came out last week and they've already pushed out an update. So really gorgeous app. If you want to try out Basecamp, go to basecamp.com. It is a subscription web application, but there's a 60-day free trial. That's 2 months. So if you like it, you'll be willing to pay. And if you don't, then you don't. The app is free, and you do want to have kind of a Basecamp project set up in order to use the app. Awesome for collaborating. This is project management. So this is projects that you're collaborating with other people on. So your next big idea, really, really great way to get organized in Basecamp. Really, really like the official Android app. And like I said, there's a bunch of other unofficial apps in the Play Store. Grab this official app, and actually official app is in the title, and it's free, and you can organize all your stuff.
It's cool. It's very cool. Basecamp is one of the best kind of project management collaboration tools around. So it's neat to see it finally getting an app. That's for sure.
Getting the Android treatment. It's really, really good. And for a while, their web app was actually quite responsive and nice in the browser on Android, and that's actually what I was using. But it just doesn't. The native app experience it's just a little bit nicer. It's a little bit smoother and just a little bit nicer. And of course, you get push notifications, which they don't have yet, but hopefully we'll get soon. And that's huge. So
cool.
Yeah, Basecamp.
Excellent.
And congrats to 37 Signals for 15 years of being in business. And
Jason Fried, right? He's the guy.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yep.
He's the guy.
Good stuff. All right, excellent. So that's free in the Google Play Store. So check it out if you're a productivity nerd. My turn, and I went in the productivity direction as well. And Gina, Bryan, I'm gonna blow your minds with this app. You ready for this?
Oh boy.
The app that I found, which I think is very interesting, is called Cogi, Cogi. And hang on, don't show anything more than the logo, Bryan, because I really want to sell this. It's a productivity app that is focused around meetings, specifically around capturing the important moments of a meeting. Similar to Evernote, it has photo support, it has text note support, and a voice recorder. All right, pretty cool. Doesn't seem much different than Evernote or from some other apps that are out there. So what makes Cogi so different? And Gina, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Cogi is a DVR for your meeting. All right. So what does that mean? I started recording my little app thing with Cogi as we were talking. And what it's doing is, you can see it's slowly spinning. It is recording the audio from that is happening right now in a kind of a recurring kind of loop. And then let's say you're in a meeting and Gina, you said something really, really insightful and really important that we absolutely don't want to miss. How many times have you been in that meeting where you're like, oh, wait, what did you say? Write that down. How did you word that? With Cogi, what you can just do is tap the app and it will rewind back 30 seconds. And then you can save an audio recording from that point on to capture what happened in that meeting. How absolutely cool is that?
So
right?
wait. So you're recording.
So I'm recording.
You say, I want to replay what happened 30 seconds ago. It's 30 seconds back.
Yep.
It's 30-second replay for life.
And now what's cool? So let's go. I'll show you the app here, Bryan. Take it. So what I can do here, I'm going to stop it right here so we can see it. All right. In the settings, you can actually change it from 5, 15, 30, or 45 seconds. So if you really want to make sure you don't miss anything, you can set it to be 45 seconds. I had it set for 30 seconds because I felt like that was the right amount of time to react to. That's really the only setting that you have to make. And then once you do it, what you can do is you can say start a new session, and here it's just going through, and you just set this on the desk as you're in the meeting, you're talking, and let's say somebody goes up and writes something on the whiteboard, and you're like, oh wait, I want to get a picture of that, so you can go take a picture of it, and you can say, okay, great, I got that picture, cool. And then let's say you're like, okay, I don't want to miss this, so let me take some notes here, and you can type in some notes, you just standard kind of text editor, but then the key moment of the meeting happened, and the key moment of knowledge, and Gina, you came up with something amazing, and we just want to get the wording absolutely correct. You just tap it, and it will go back, and you go back and say, you get that, and then in the review tab here, it will show you what you've kept track of. And so here, I was recording AAA 148, and I got 6 minutes of it, and so if I hit play there, it shows me the images, but then also with Cogi as we were talking, and what it's doing is you can see it's slowly spinning. It is recording the audio from that is happening right now in a kind of a recurring kind of loop. Huh? Wow, I cannot talk.
No. I know you're doing great. So you're in a meeting, someone says something cool, you tap to highlight, and it bookmarks that 30 seconds of
exactly
in the review, and then later on when you go back to review, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. All right, you've delivered, Ron. You're talking off this app, but I get it.
It is a cool DVR for your meetings. How cool is that? That's
I wish that it was called Corgi, and then there could be like a little dog that like.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess they're going with some sort of cognitive Cogi. Like, I don't know, Cogi.
Okay.
It's totally free in the App Store. So, Bryan, if you want to pull back up the Google Play Store, you can see the page there. It's totally free.
You said Corgi, right?
Cogi, not Corgi. Oh, I see.
Sorry.
I see.
There
you go. Do you have a Corgi, Bryan, by the way?
I have a Corgi.
You have a Corgi or whatever the heck it's called?
Yeah.
What are the odds that you have the dog that we're making the joke about?
That's my buddy. That's my Corgi or Cogi.
Cogi, whatever.
My Cogi Corgi.
So anyway, it's called Cogi or Cogi or whatever. It's not like the taco or burrito truck in LA. But yeah, so it works on my phone, super easy. Admittedly, you have to go to a lot of meetings. You got to be in the sort of a business environment, but I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a meeting where we're like coming up with copy and we're coming up with like kind of stuff, and somebody says something and they're like, wait, how did you word that? How did you phrase it? This now lets you not miss those moments. Somebody in the chat room, Dylan in the chat room is saying, recording lectures. There's applications within education, get the key moment from a lecture. You absolutely can do that. This is not your, if you're using it for your own use, it's totally okay to record that and use it. I think. I'm not a lawyer. But really great applications to be able to capture those key moments that happen and not miss out on anything. So Cogi, totally free in the App Store. And I don't want to be too cocky and say I already this one's in the bag, but I got a good feeling about it.
Oh man!
Wow.
So wait, let me ask you. So can you export those highlights to MP3? Like how to or the review tab is just to listen to it back?
Yeah, the thing is that you just have to listen to it back, and then here you can see. We can take my over the shoulder cam. Mm-hmm. So when you play it through, so this is their kind of demo one. I love that. So what they've got is as each session goes on, every time you tapped it, there's different sections, so you can jump to the different highlights that happen. And then you can see the waveform, so you can jump to a particular moment. But it doesn't look like as of right now you can export it. Maybe if we give them that feedback, maybe that's something that they can provide. But and the key thing to note is that it's not recording the entire thing. It's not going to save the entire meeting. It's only going to save the sections that you highlighted to say, yes, I want that section.
Gotcha.
So that's something to get used to. But either way, the power of that is just amazing. So
no, that's really cool. It's really useful, right? Those ideas that you capture then, whatever in writing or however.
Yep.
The point is that you capture only the audio you want,
right?
And then do with it what you want once you review it.
I'm being corrected in the chat room, by the way, that in the state of California, all parties need to agree ahead of time to the recording. So if you go to a meeting, be like, oh, I'm going to capture the meeting so we don't miss anything. Is that okay with everyone? Get everyone to say okay. Probably a good thing to do in any state just to be safe. But as now the chat room is lecturing us on two-party consent law. So I love the chat room.
Probably a good thing to do as a human.
Yeah.
In the state of being human.
So we've got Cogi, Basecamp, and Final Fantasy VI. As we mentioned, our friends at Straw Poll are having a little difficulty with their poll system this week, so we're trying something different. If you go to AAApoll.com/148, you can get this nifty Google Forms poll that Bryan and Chad whipped up before the show. Go vote and tell everyone what you think. I don't know if we can see the responses.
Let's see how.
Yeah, you can. Preview previous responses.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so there we go. So far it's not real time.
Off to a hot start.
But so far Koji's winning. So there we go. Final Fantasy and Basecamp are trailing. So there you go.
Wow,
9 votes.
The $16 game is beating Basecamp. That's come on.
Well, the thing about Basecamp, when I saw you put in Basecamp, I was like, Gina. But it's really specific. You got to already be on Basecamp and be using it. That's the challenge.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
So anyway, all right. So go to AAApoll.com/148 and let your voice be heard, and we'll find out next week if my cockiness comes through and if everyone agrees with me how great Cogi is. And hopefully Straw Poll will be back next week. We give them our sympathies in their server difficulties that they're having right now. All right, cool. Well, that's the show. We seem to have survived without Jason, Gina. I can't believe we did it.
Just barely. Jason, please come back. No, I'm just kidding, Ron. You did a killer job. Thanks so much for taking the chair. I can't imagine the pressure. I'm glad I'm here in my mom's basement, just chilling. It was a really fun show.
It does look very cozy in the wood paneled basement, Gina. So
it's very cozy.
So why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
You can see everything that I'm up to at ginatrapani.org. Hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/@ginatrapani. And I also co-host This Week in Google, another show here on the Twit Network that airs on Wednesdays. That's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be talking Google and Android and Chrome and all things cloud with Leo and Jeff tomorrow. And I do a couple other things, but you don't need to hear about them right now. Just find me at ginatrapani.org, and you got everything there.
Excellent. Bryan, you survived your first arena. Now where can people find you and your Corgi?
Well, you can find that on Google+. What is it? Google.com/+Bryan Burnett. So if you want to see pictures of my Corgi, you can go there. But also, I'm co-hosting on Know How these days. So if you want to check that out, one of our other Twitch shows, we got a cool project coming up this week if you want to check that out. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me on the show tonight, guys. Usually I'm just behind the camera here.
Thanks for being in the arena.
Yeah, good job. Good job in your first arena showing. I'm impressed.
I mean, I wouldn't want to appeal to the users just saying, this is my first episode, so maybe you could help me out with little votes. But
oh, man.
Listen,
I don't have
prizes? Do we get anything?
It's not, you get the pride of saying that you've won and rubbing it in when I've lost again. So
I don't even have a chance.
Well, excellent, Bryan. Thanks. Great show as always. I like to keep you on your toes, and you respond pretty well.
You did that pretty well tonight, Ron. Thank you.
Well, so you can find me if you're curious about my ramblings. You can go to about.me/RonXO, where you can find links to my Twitter and Facebook and all that fun stuff. Or don't go there. Just go to AAApoll.com/148 and vote for Cogi. That's really how you can show me that you love me. So there you go.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
But that wraps up for this week. We want to thank everybody for watching. It was a great time. If you want to interact with us, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call on our voicemail line at 347-SHOW-AAA. You can shoot us an email and a voicemail if you want to send a recording to AAA@twit.tv. You can always find us on social media at Twitter at Android Show. We are on Reddit. Normally Jason checks the All About Android Reddit. I did not check it this week. I'm sorry. But you can go there to twitaa.reddit.com. And if you want any details about the show notes from this episode or previous episodes or watch previous episodes, you can always go to twit.tv/AAA or find us on YouTube or iTunes. We're everywhere where you like to watch finer internet video. You can catch us live every Tuesday starting at 5 p.m.-ish Pacific time at live.twit.tv. I pray to the dear Lord that Jason's back next week, and we hope he's feeling better, and we give him a little shout-out. Feel better from everybody, and until next time, enjoy your Android devices. Have fun.